Good morning. I'm Ken Secor, the Director for the Albany County Veteran Service Bureau. Welcome to our monthly Honor of Veterans ceremony. For the month of June, we have the pleasure of honoring Francis S. Currey, who served in the U.S. Army. Presiding over today's ceremony is the Albany County Executive, Daniel P. McCoy. Also in attendance with us today, we have Congressman Paul Tonko, former Congressman Michael McNulty, New York State Assembly Member Patricia Fahey, former New York State Assembly Member Jack McEnany, Albany County Comptroller Sue Rizzo, City of Albany Treasurer Darius Schonifer, New York Army National Guard Assistant Adjutant General Major General Michael Natali, New York Army National Guard Public Affairs Colonel Richard Goldenberg, New York Army National Guard State Command Sergeant Major David P. Worski, Waterville Arsenal Director of Public Affairs Matthew Day, Bethlehem Town Supervisor David Van Leuven, Bethlehem Town Board members David DeCancio and Joyce Becker, Albany County Legislator Dustin Reedy, and Wanda Willingham.
Always like
Veteran and military organizations represented here today include the American Gold Star Mothers, the American Legion, Association of the United States Army, Disabled American Veterans, Jewish War Veterans, the Marine Corps League, New York Army National Guard, New York Naval Militia, Purple Heart Veterans, Tri-County Council Vietnam Veterans, the Veterans of Foreign War, the Waterville Arsenal, and the 369th Veterans Association. The Honor of Veteran program was started in 1993 by former Congressman McNulty and former County Executive Michael Hoblock. This program continues today with the cooperation and support of County Executive McCoy and Congressman Tonko, who also furnishes a flag that has been flown over our nation's capital for our honored veterans. When the Honor of Veteran program was started, a committee was formed to select our Veterans of the Month. This committee is made up of distinguished veterans from various organizations within Albany County. Their task is not an easy one, and I'd like to take a moment just to thank them. The committee includes John Nardolillo, Joe Policino, Jerry Perry, and Mark Rosenzweig. Now, to make a few remarks and present a proclamation to the family in honor of Francis Currey, I have the pleasure to introduce a fellow veteran who is still currently serving in the New York Army National Guard, the Albany County Executive, Daniel McCoy.
You know, how do you say the proper words for a man of that magnitude who got the Medal of Honor? You know, born in June 1925, passed away in October of 2019, 94 years. That dash. And there's only two things you can't guarantee. What you did yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow. You can't guarantee them two things in life. But your father went over there, and he came home after serving, and an extraordinary life. And as you research him, at the age of 12, he was an orphan. And he went from foster care to foster care to foster care. And the reason why I say that, after he graduated high school, he goes into the military and he's a replacement. And to the younger kids that are here, if you watch Band of Brothers or anything like that, when you're a replacement person joining a unit, the general could say this and the command sergeant major, it's not easy. A lot of people don't like you, you get every bad detail, and it's hard to make friends. But to go over and to do the extraordinary things he did when he was overseas is just a snapshot of who this man was. But I think being an orphan really built his character when he became a replacement over there, that he knew how to fit in, he knew how to get the job done. But it goes back to the young people in this room, to people that are joining the military. It's about training, and he went above and beyond it to learn the 20 cal, the 30 cal, the bar, the M1, grenade launchers. And why was that important? Because when he was on guard duty, and the one thing we didn't like when we were in the military, you always get stuck on a guard duty, and the command sergeant major would show up and yell at you or ask you something, and you're like, oh, does he go to sleep? He gets attacked. And the smoke grenades go off and everything happens. And when it clears, he realizes it's just not infantry coming, there's a tank coming. And he takes that tank out. And he realizes there's people pinned down and they can't get to safety. And he runs into a bar and finds a grenade launcher. And they found the bar, but first the bar I think it was, and then he took out a wall. Then with the grenade launcher, he took out 3 anti-grenade launcher. He took out 3 other tanks, total of 4 tanks. So the men that were alive could get to safety. And then I believe he jumped on a half track and started firing that at the enemy. Right, all this whole time he's doing this is through heavy fire, being fired upon, trying to be shot. And he went above and beyond. And I know I won't have that whole story correct, but it's what he did. And he gets the Medal of Honor. Fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and that was in Holland, and fights in the Battle of the Bulge. You think about that. But then we talk about his 94 years here. His wife is 70 years. It was remarkable. Yourself, your 2 brothers, his family, I think 11 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, I believe, if I stand corrected, somewhere in that neighborhood. It says a lot about his legacy. But his work at the VA hospital for 30 years. Retires in 1980, and then he still works. He starts a landscaping business. Then he went down to Myrtle Beach for a little while, and then he came back. But his involvement in Little League, this post, volunteer fireman, giving back to the community. And pretty cool to have an action figure built after you, right? I gotta say. I know that Mass Starvation is not gonna happen. It'd be the Husky section if that happened. But to have that and then have your face on a stamp in the post office. But still, to sit here and meet his great-grandchild and to share the experience of his great-grandfather, says a lot. When I walked in, Mike McNulty, our former congressman, shared a story, and I've got a couple stories. The only one I can share that, but Mike said at the eulogy, at the wake, or at the church, I believe, Congressman, if I get it wrong, let me know. Both of them. 2 great Congress people here, one retired, and our Congressperson now, Paul Tonko, but said how one of the grandchildren's life that he saved over there, he wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the actions of your dad that day. And that says a lot. That says a lot. That says a real lot. And, just to have that story just really says something. For that person to travel all the ways here to make a point, I wouldn't be living if it wasn't for your father. And the influence. We had an honor, we did a living veteran in 2013, and we honored him. And it was so great meeting him and hearing the stories. And I know our Veterans Department, Jimmy Ader took him every place. They did everything, breakfast. And just the impact he had, even in his later years in life. So it doesn't matter what age you are, you can always influence people. So it is an honor to stand here today for an extraordinary man to talk about his legacy, but talk about the legacy of the great-grandchildren going forward in the family, and knowing that every day you go to bed, knowing what your father did, an extraordinary feat, and the people that wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for your father. So I do have a proclamation to say thank you, but I do want to say to everyone in the room to look at just not what he did on the battlefield, but how he carried himself. Goes into the Army values. So again, thank you. Oh.
Congressman Paul Tonko.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you for your service to the veterans of the county. It's an honor to join with everyone here as we pay tribute to an individual of greatness, a person of great stature who has earned so much respect, and you feel it in this room. I thank Dan McCoy for his work as county exec as we continue the tradition, the legendary efforts to honor our veterans who have preceded us, to recognize their commitment and their contribution and their undeniable patriotism. So, Congressman McNulty, thank you for planting those seeds, and it's great to continue this tradition as we are inspired by the stories of many who served on the battlefield and remind us that freedom is not free and that it extracts a great commitment from our veterans of this nation. Commander Maddock, thank you for hosting us, and to all of the members of the American Legion An individual so great that they extended the name of the post through a rather challenging process, but rightfully recognized the greatness of Francis S. Currey. So great to be with you this morning, to join my colleagues in government, and certainly our chaplain. Thank you, Marlene, for the great work you do. And thank you also for reminding us of the pain of war. As a Gold Star mom, we respect and appreciate your sacrifice and all that you've given so that we can remain free. To all of the veterans assembled here and various veterans organizations, to our JROTC young individuals who are here, and to all of the family, most importantly, Kathy and Michael and all of the generations that have extended into the family tree, including the great-grandson, who is so proud. To recognize someone like Francis S. Currey is to recognize that our veterans come from very small towns and from all sorts of backgrounds, metro areas, rural areas, urban cores, and they comprise that reflection, that persona of America, which is a cluster of people, various backgrounds, creeds, ethnicities, all fighting under a banner of the American flag. And obviously, as we salute Francis S. Currey this morning, it is first rooted in his character. To rise above that label of orphan, to be able to dig deep with resolve, to grow strong and committed to his agenda in life and to this nation, to be selfless in his service to the country, in his defense of our nation in World War II, to have fought so valiantly in the Battle of the Bulge, and to have been decorated and awarded the many, many medals. Certainly the Medal of Honor, a great distinction, the bronze medal, the silver medal, the Purple Heart, the list goes on and on. Recognized by the military, by the leadership, that he truly was an individual of greatness. So we pay respect this morning to that great fabric of character and strength and valor and courage and patriotism in the name of Francis S. Currey. We also recognize that as he returned and paid tribute to his fellow veterans by his work at the medical center was a powerful statement, one that really cared about the plight of veterans, about their life and quality of life well after service on the battlefield. So just a tremendous contribution that he made. And then to, as the county exec said, to not retire, but to unretire and continue forward by establishing a small business. So today, we honor an individual whose name will ever be honored at this post with the recognition of that name change. And in so doing, we ask that a flag be flown over our nation's capital in honor, in tribute, in respect in memory to Francis S. Currey for his extraordinary life and his most respected contribution into our freedom. And my hopes and prayers are that he rests in peace and that his inspiration to family, friends, and community continues to grow with time, with passage of time, knowing that he stands as a person of valor and that we are challenged to respond accordingly. So God bless him, may he rest in peace.
And such a pleasure and an honor to be here. And I must start by saying, so wonderful to see so many youth at Albany High, JROTC, the school my children went to, and I often say we hear about the most remarkable individuals each month that we do this. And it makes us all stop and reflect and start the month in the right way. But it's wonderful to see youth here because this is about the shoulders we stand on, that we all stand on. But history, the history that we do stand on is just so critical. And to think that you have this moment to learn about this extraordinary history of individuals who came from nothing. An orphan is is really something. And then the age of 19, when most students nowadays are their biggest decision is trying to figure out what college course they may or may not take, or if they're entering the military or not. Those are big life decisions. Instead of having to save, in his case, to defend a small town, but what a difference that made, and to save 5 people in one day. I mean, it's just truly a remarkable history. And so often we don't hear of these heroes. So there were many heroes throughout World War II and all the wars since then, and currently in Ukraine. I'm thinking of Congressman Tonko's beautiful pin on his lapel. So often we don't get the chance to hear of them. So it is important that we honor, that we value, and that we try to remember those that we do know of, because they are so deserving. And the fact that a G.I. Joe action figure has been memorialized by Francis Currey is just, or about Francis Currey, is just truly remarkable. But in so many ways, he's all of those that have served. And so he is just one person who made such an extraordinary difference. And I'm glad that we have his stories. I'm glad that we have that history, because so many others are lost. And it is important to remember who we actually stand on, and whose shoulders we actually stand on. And the fact that it has never failed, I think, in all the dozens of veterans that we have honored, I can't remember one that did not come back home and still continue to serve the community in some way or another. So the fact that he worked at the Veterans Hospital, the fact that he still was active in the community, it just speaks volumes about one of the many parts of or mottos in the military, and that is service before self. And I think we can all remember that, the importance of service before self, that selflessness that is taught. And the fact that it wasn't just what he did on one day or many days in service, it's the fact that he continued that legacy and continued to give back. And that's also what makes him so remarkable. I will say I've had the distinct honor, I'm in my 10th year in office, which is rather hard to believe, but I've had the distinct honor of passing 3 bills, just last week passed the 3rd, to name the highway here, part of Route 32, after Francis Currey. So he will always be memorialized by the highway. The other 2 have been in Guilderland. Sadly enough, the other 2 were killed in action. But I stopped and I told my office, it's a scramble. There are almost 11,000 bills every year, and only about 1,000 or so make it through the chute to become law. So it is no small task, even though we try to make sure these are done. But I said, do not let this slide. We've had others where we've had to redraft to get it right. But I said, do not let this slide, because it is so critical that these really what are small tokens of appreciation, but they are so monumental in another way. It's so monumental that his name be kept alive, that his history, that his legacy, and that extraordinary service be kept alive. So I look forward to another ceremony and maybe a few others. It's great that the post here was renamed as well, because it is so deserving, and each time we look at it, we will remember that service before self. So thank you. Again, it is a deep honor of mine to be able to join the county exec, I don't know if our previous county exec Hoblock, and our former Congressman Mike McNulty, my predecessor Jack McNulty, and so many others, our town supervisor David Van Leuven, so many others who take this time to start the month by remembering and trying to never forget those lessons of the shoulders we stand on. So again, it's with great honor that we also have this very small token of appreciation for the family, and so great that Francis's great-grandson could be here to join us. Thank you, everybody.
City of Albany Treasurer Darius Schonifer.
this morning I thought I was coming to the Blanchard Post. What I found out today when I got here, that I'm at the Blanchard-Currey Post. And that Frank Curry was the most decorated veteran of this post, and that's why we named it after him. We receive information on the honor vet every month, and I'm always struck by the humility that is inherent in those descriptions of their lives. To find out that I came to the most decorated veteran in this post, and they just renamed the post after him, was quite surprising to me this morning, but not really. Because as Member Fahey said, I've been coming to these events here in other counties for the better part of 20 years. And we honor men and women. We honor people of every ethnicity, every nationality. We honor people of every faith. But the one theme that always runs through each and every ceremony is the service. And not just the service to our country, which of course we're all here for, but service to our community when they come home. And I thought that Frank's service really was to his fellow veterans when he came home working for the VA, and to find out he's even more than that for Little League and everything else that our county executive gave color to the story. I didn't think I could be more in awe today, but I am. As I think we all have said before, and we will say it again, thank you for allowing us to honor his memory. Thank you for this opportunity for all of us to step back and remember our veterans and the service for our country and our service for the community when they come back. Now, as treasurer, my power really extends to sending people their property taxes. So, today's a great day for me, because today, by the power vested in me by the mayor of the city of Albany, who I'm sorry could not be here today, should have mentioned that earlier, and the city itself, I'm here to name today, June 6, 2022, Francis Curry Day in the city of Albany. Thank you.
From the Albany County Legislature, Wanda Willingham.
Thank you very much. As I took over the crowd of people today, I think about some of the things that are going on in our lives across the nation, and in the community's lives that are being lost. So when I think about a service such as today, where you get an opportunity to pause for people, and an ordinary person who went on to do extraordinary things in his life, who took it upon himself to join the service and do something so that people would understand and know the value of how precious life is. I think about Dan McCoy and Andrew Joyce, who right now are leaders as far as the Albany County is concerned, men who are serving our country right now. I think about Congressman McNulty. I always have so much respect for him, and I always call him my congressman because my father served in the service too. And many times we don't get to honor people for the things that they have done, that they do willingly. And so I want to thank you, Ken, for continuing this service because it is so special. And people do need to pause and take time and realize that there have been men and women who gave up their service to the country. I can remember as a young person, I was in college in Skidmore, and the Vietnam, they called it the conflict then, and was going on. And we traveling on buses to come to Albany. At that time, we didn't know, but we were protesting the war. I didn't know what we were doing. I just got on the bus, to be honest with you. But I did know that it had something to do with the war. I can remember my husband waiting for his number at that time to come up to see whether or not he was going to have to go. Excuse me. I come from a family of veterans. My father served in World War II. My daughter is a Navy veteran, and she, a woman, is the first vice commander right now of the North Albany American Legion Post. Her daughter. Her daughter has served in the Air Force. So I'm very respectful of what our men and women do in regards to giving up their time and their service. So remember, ordinary people go on to do extraordinary things. And when I think about Mr. Curry and the life that he has led, I realize that there are a lot of people, when they go into service, they come back out and they do things to continue to serve their fellow countrymen in one way or another. My daughter has this thing about feeding people. And all through the pandemic, that's what she did. She opened up what we call the greenhouse and made up baskets and did all of these things. I have friends who did lose their lives in the Vietnam War. And I always take the time, because one of them was my classmate, and I go and I touch the wall where his name is to let him know, that I remember what it is. I have friends who have suffered from the many things that they've gone through in the war. But the one thing I value is this. I value the fact that I find myself to be a very patriotic person. And I don't care what anyone says, this is my country. And I know too many people have bled. I know enough people who have died to realize that America is one of the greatest places still in the world to live, right here, to raise your family. And so too, all of the people that came out today into this family, I thank you for the service that your father, your grandfather, and so on have served this country. And he serves as a great example. To receive the highest Medal of Honor from the country, that is something to be proud of, and it's something to be celebrated, and it's something to be talked about, especially today, as we see those people across the world fighting for their lives right now. But we here in America, we have something to be proud of, that we do value this country that we live in, and it's something to be proud of. So today, I honor your ancestor, I honor your father, I honor your grandfather, I honor your great-grandfather today, because he is somebody. And so instead of talking about the bad things in life, we have something good to talk about today. So I come today on behalf of Andrew Joyce, who is the chairman of the Albany County Legislature, just to say that we want to just take the time to celebrate Francis Curry, that ordinary person who went on to do extraordinary things.
We also have a proclamation from Senator Neil Breslin, who couldn't be here today. So Francis Curry, it seems like a lot of veterans I talk to, they have a story about Francis. Well, I have one too that I'd like to tell the family. So, almost 5 years ago when I took this job, I said to myself, we have this great American, I need to find a way to talk to him, to meet him. Well, fast forward about a month later, my secretary calls me on the phone and says, hey, I've got this veteran, and she's rambling on and on about all the things that she has been talking to him about, and I was like, is he still on the phone? She's like, oh yeah, he's still on the phone. He just wants his birth certificate, but he asked for you by name. I was like, okay, what's his name? She said, Frank Curry, C-U-R-R-E-Y. And I was like, you mean Francis Curry, like the Medal of Honor winner? She's like, yeah, that's him. I was like, well, let me take the phone call now. So I get on the phone, I was like, hello, Mr. Curry. And he stopped me. He's like, first of all, if we're going to continue talking, you're not going to call me Mr., and you're going to call me Frank. So that's how our conversation started. And over the years, there were things that I wanted to say to him, to ask. But the closest we got to talking about military things were the fact that the two of us served in the 30th Infantry Brigade, Obviously way different times, but we served in the same unit. And he made a point of saying that it is an action figure, it is not a doll. But but that was the closest we ever got to talking about military stuff. Frank would just call me randomly, and we would just chat about day-to-day stuff. Very humble man. Glad I got to know him. So thank you to the family. Now we're going to bring up Lyle Maddock from the Blanchard-Currey Post to say a few words.
Wow, what a room today. This is an unexpected greeting for everybody being here today, and everybody here up on the stage. It's just a great thing to see for Francis. I just wanted to just welcome everybody here and to Post 1040, and the new Blanchard-Currey name is why we are here going forward. We have a elevator that we put in just this past year. Back in the day, Francis was here at the Thank a Vet dinner about 5 years ago, and he didn't come back because he wanted to go up that chair, back and forth that chair. And that moved me, and it still does today. So today, we have that elevator, so we have future events, future veterans, future WWII, War, Korea, Afghanistan, whomever comes back with a limb can come up to these events at this post, and we're really proud of that. And I want to thank you all being here, and please, afterwards, refreshments will be here, and take a ride on the elevator. And then when you get off the elevator, there'll be a mural of Francis downstairs in the lobby. And it's a pretty impressive mural. And it was put on by the board of directors. And another shout out to the person who organized this today, Steve Riedel. Steve, thank you for putting this on today. And Scott Anson, our chairman of the board. Thank you, folks.
Now to say a few words from the family, Kathy.
I would like to thank everyone for coming out today. My father, he would have been so honored and humbled by this ceremony. He was such a humble man. He was your neighbor, fellow parishioner, friend, coach, and community volunteer. And I was lucky enough to call him Dad. He had a great passion for fishing, for entertaining, especially his Christmas Eve parties, and for the work he did at the VA hospital. And he was most proud of the fact that he and my mom had been married for 70 years. He wore his medal proudly for his country, for all the servicemen and women, and especially for those who did not return home. And I would like to end with something that he used to like to say, and I quote, "I hope my country can be as proud of me as I am of my country." Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Would everyone please rise for the playing of taps in honor of Francis S. Currey. That concludes this portion of the ceremony. We will take a few pictures with the family here in the building and the dignitaries, and then we will proceed outside to raise the flag in honor of Francis Currey.